3 poems. I just released my first collection of poems. It's called Confluence, and it was published with Broadstone Books. So I'm going to start with a poem called Garbage Night. It is Thursday night. It is garbage night. The trash is my old clothes, and my old clothes are slipping through my hands. My hands are a box full of flies. The flies are taking off with my hair. Look, I am bald. I am my mother's truck engine. I am the space the deer left sleeping in the ferns. I am 7:52 in the evening. See, the sun has already set and the dog is crying to go out. Am I her too? Her nose raised, twitching into the evening air. My parents are getting old. I don't like to say that out loud, but it's true. And the dog is old too. I am rubbing the dog's legs. I am a car full of empty coffee cups. See, I can't bring myself to dump them. They remind me of yesterday. I am all the days that the sky has broken clear and cold, spilling oranges across the dawn line. I am the Ohio line. I am West Side Road after all the tourists have left for the day. I am laying myself down on the asphalt to watch the stars come out in rear soaring spires across my head until the dog begins her howling. I am waking all the days. I am the ferns and I keep space for you, for the coffee cups. I am peeling my long body off asphalt and gone round back to feed the chickens. So the second poem I'll be reading is a poem about Kennywood Park, which is actually in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. This is largely a book about Pittsburgh poems. So if anybody's been through Pennsylvania, you might recognize a few places. So this one's called My Brother's Daughters. I am reading on a bench in Kennywood while my brother's daughters ride the jackrabbit for the 3rd time. The children hurtle past my bench, coated with powdered sugar and face paint, reminding me to listen to the cool warning of an August night. And the jackrabbit, it's not even the best roller coaster in the park, but they are enamored with the everlasting surprise of the second bump, the click-clack of the gears, sending them higher. They will plead to stay late. I've let slip that they can see the city from the thunderbolt's back after dark. Yes, of course, I am still reading the Yoga Sutras, and the whole park will become something like a deep inner peace after the lights turn on, the lights chasing each other along the spires of the pitfall. And then the final poem is actually the last poem in the book, and it's called To Lead a Pig Skyward. I read A Pig Can't Look Up, that you've got to gently tilt their heads back if they're going to take in the night skies. I never led a pig skyward late at night in Pennsylvania. Earthbound is probably better. We all start getting ideas when we look up, and the pigs, they always seemed so pleased where they were, rooting in soft earth. No need to look up for God when the holy was there, beneath their trotters, cool below the autumn archer that was rising lightly on the eastern horizon.
I'm going to read one piece tonight. It is called Dandelion. A stubborn, stunted sunflower with roots you have to wrench from the dirt, like panicked hands clinging to a door frame. Drab petals, like paper tabs on an old room for rent poster, or like sun-yellowed scabs on nature's knees the next morning. Leaves like makeshift bone spears, double-sided saws, blunted teeth of a grizzled, abandoned lion, sap like school glue, plastic milk, bitter spit, ghost white blood that poisons and festers. But the dandelion transfigures an alchemic head from concentrated jaundice to white dwarf exploding outward. Sprigs of escape leave the dead core, tufts on their tips, waiting for a strong southerly to fill their sails and plant new flags in new lands. The dandelion is a conqueror, a conquistador, poison blood, razor limbs, anchors in place of legs. Because of its resilience, the dandelion is the anti-sunflower, the dark sun, the beast, with all accompanying pain and cruelty heaped upon it, all jeers and poisons poured on its head, called a cancer, called a blight, called a weed. It has stem, leaves, petals. It eats light like the others. If clipped, it bleeds, but not a flower, a weed. So it will spread, it will range, it will conquer, and all who stand in its way will die. Dandelion.
I have a book that's been out just for a few months. It's called We Know Each Other by Our Wounds. And I'm going to read 2 poems from this, which have bees in common. This one's called Bird Bee. Remember the yellow house that stood for years, empty, used for nothing but secrets? A house built to last until the end of days, or rot in place. I went there. Following wing sounds, I found a magpie trapped in a fly-blown attic. In the bird's eye, nothing but light. In its beak, the body of a bee. Through a wheel window, I saw leaves drop from a heavy sky while distantly a horseman canted. So I asked, what kind of signs are these? And waited with bird for the yellow house not to reply. So this one's called To the Man Who Left a Jar of Bees at the Bookstore. It's not the story of, but it's based a little bit on a true thing that happened. A man in a blue overcoat actually did leave a jar of bees in the London Review of Books bookstore a couple of years ago. I don't know what happened in the end, but it was all over Twitter for a while. So it inspired me. To the man who left a jar of bees at the bookstore. Man in a blue coat, not yellow. What compels you to travel with bees? Are these your familiars, jarred and buzzy, waiting to break loose and juice you into action? Is that why you left them in the necromancy section? Man in blue, do you believe bees' pollen-coated feet can dance a dusty measure on your sleeve and weave a constellation? Do you grieve, overcoated man, for bees so easily forgotten among books? You cared for them once. You punched holes in the lid of their glass cell. Bringer of bees, we have not placed your apiary in lost and found with umbrellas. Your bees, bless their soft, striped souls, are reading through glass from the Georgics of Virgil. We have shown them prints by Monet and Van Gogh. Blue man, blues man, come get your bees before we close. We bought them violets and now they are abuzz, getting down in their mason jar made for honey. We fed them sugar water on a spoon, then left them alone in orchestral scores. They are ready to jam. Bee man, do you keep bees for their sweetness? Do you believe that they can heal your body with pain-killing venom? Do you want them to die for you? If your bees die, waiting, we will pour nectar over them. We will place their glass casket among the staff pigs and prepare a waxen image as a monument. We will open our doors to bees who mourn.
I'm going to read a poem that's roughly about climate change, given the Texas doesn't normally get snow and 4-degree weather. So So send this one out to my friends and family in Texas.
Okay.
It was published in Perhappened magazine last year. It's called Measuring.
Okay, great.
And when the charts started coming out, we saw that it had already been warming our whole lives. The good old days and how things used to be had already always been abnormal. My people had already always been abnormal. The smokestacks had already done their deed, the garrote to the neck of mammalia, their Molotov cocktail to amphibia. We raised kids in lifeless yards of Scots and Pantone 7741. Some of us already watched the frogs and knew. Some of us already watched the flocks grow small and knew. And when the charts started coming out, the graphics showing red and redder, we chanted degrees to the skies, a bedtime prayer, a request for absolution, a plea for benediction. We were begging for a bandage to put on a knee scraped from falling while trying to get a better view of a praying mantis when we were 8, because somehow we knew we needed to study its form, its penitent pose, because somehow we knew we needed an extra amen for every factory shift. No rosaries enough to make up for the sticks forming with a drip from a degree here, a degree there, until the world is a river. We cleaned scraped knees with water that flowed without ever touching plastic. Oh, the water that had never dreamed of plastic. This one was published in Hobart After Dark last fall, or had, as it's called. The poem is called Seasonless. 10 years old now, his feet grew to continence in the first pandemic months. Dusty and hot, we went to hit. I windmilled an old arm around for a minute before pitching. Then he stepped up and hit ball after ball after ball into deep July, past the emptiness on every base, past the grasshoppers in the outfield, past the ghosts of absence in the 4 rows of curled, flaking wooden bleachers. A crow called out. We kept going. I pitched and he smacked balls all over the field, past nothing, into nothing, baking in the sun.
First one is called Wild Sky. You are electrons, protons. I am sparking off the sun. You are escaping sun's gravity. I am thrown out of atmosphere by rotation. You are hurtling towards Earth. I am thinner at polar caps. You are colliding with my atmosphere. I am igniting into color, into dance. Most of the charged particles deflected by Earth's atmosphere, but when you kiss me, you are all the oxygen I need. You are lights dancing. I am wild sky. The second poem I have is called Tools, and it's in part a homage to my family and in parts somehow becomes a COVID poem as well. My father too used tools. Young, he apprenticed to a shoemaker because only the father and the eldest son could work the sulfur mine, and he was the second, the third, really, the second having died before my father was born. My father was given his dead brother's name. I have the wooden forms in my closet, black extendable geppetto feet on which to fit leather to cobble shoes. But shoemaking was not in my father's destiny. He traveled to England, learned how to say aluminium so that you could hear the final I. When I was a child, people asked why I spoke with a British accent. Then to Belgium to work the coal mines. But there was a collapse, a fire, a tragedy at Châtellerault. 262 migrants trapped, killed, many of them Italian, and my mother, seed of their first child in her belly, pleaded with my father to leave. From Le Havre, they crossed the Atlantic on La Flandre, like those who had fled the potato famine. And that time the British took land from the Scots for sheep pasture, the dispossessed, the displaced. In Canada, my father worked many jobs, an unskilled man with little knowledge of the language and even less of the laws. He ended up a carpenter, like the father of Christ. He smelled of sawdust, his hands rough but never raised. Behind his ear, a pencil. It did not fit in the sharpener, so he would use a knife to create a chiseled edge while I watched. Nails and loose change in his pockets, his shoulders broad as his smile. He built things, fixed things, measured things, and having no sons, he worked alone. While we girls learned to cook, to clean, to pray the rosary, to darn, to embroider flowers and birds in silken colors, to be obedient, well-mannered above all. I would slink off to the garage to help my father by passing him the tools. I learned their names: lo marteggio, the hammer; la raspa, the file; lo giravete, the screwdriver; la sega, the saw; la pinza, the pliers; la chiave inglese, the wrench, whose words literally mean the English key, and that one whose syllables elude me, the planer, that smooths wood, creating curlicues out of tree. Lo chianuzzo, I later learned. Oh, and that little silver palm-shaped box, its powder blue magic to mark a plumb line. I would slink to the garage, avoid the cloister of the house as willingly as I would slink into a book. What are my tools now? Computer, like the coiled cord of a phone that stretches across this continent and beyond to connect family. We under house arrest. The charge? The charge to remain healthy, to avoid the symptomatic and asymptomatic. My tools, memory and language. My tools.
Builder of Suns. As a kid, I'd stay up late to watch Cops with You. Officers cruised murky streets, the safety and comfort inside their Crown Vic, not unlike our living room. Formulaic plot. Traffic stop, vehicle search, baggies and pipes hidden under seats with fallen French fries. Dad, when you discovered needles in my pocket years later, did it feel like a familiar scene? You had tried to teach me the difference between rare and medium rare, the scam of extended warranties, how survival is a nail hammered into wood. It absorbs each blow and makes a home out of the pressure. I was too scared in kindergarten to raise my hand for the washroom, so I wet myself. I had a panic attack when it was Turner's turn for dad time, and you took him to the arcade without me, my chest heaving like the rock dove I found in Snowball's jaws. You are a nail. You are the kind of man who builds sons who think, if I can be half the man my dad is, I'll be okay. Half of you, 100-car freight train ripping through Regina at rush hour, a prairie field aflame with wildflowers and crickets. It's 2004, and I'm playing on the school basketball team, my club foot in a sleek Nike. Your leather jacket enters the gym. That's all I ever wanted. It's 2008, and behind my bedroom door, I scream how much I hate you, the father who asked his strung-out son if he's okay. I can't connect 2x4s and beams from blueprints sketched in my head like you can. Our backyard deck, a reality you dreamed the night before. I can't frame a fence, but know if I asked, you'd show me. I survived 7-day binges, overdoses, and scoops of peanut butter for dinner because I picked up just enough of your lessons. Not the practical tips and tricks. I still can't change a tire, but the care. You, the teenager who lost his father in a fire. I survived because you remained a sturdy structure.
This poem is called Runoff, and it's about leaving. Black suck of soil, rubber boots stuck in the storm drain, those fucking insistent crickets drowning. Rain tines divide the lake, bind nightbird hostages, flood rapeseed fields, erode tractor wheel rucks. Chinook gusts, bend poplar trees, subdue cattail reeds, scatter squadrons of pelican canoes. Autumn, incandescent, cloud shawl horizon line encompasses all things we said. Oh, that I could remember it wholly. Everything left behind, first by you, then by me, Keening.
Frozen twilight, aching for my man Larry, he soared away, teaching workshops beyond distance, Tuxiesca, close to the North Pole. Sporadic cell reception, I got one text. We're separated only 4 days, yet I miss his absurdity and antics, his wide grin, savory kisses, and banter to our silky oven cat. I'm solitary except for teddy bear, mellow kitty, until my love emerges at our habitat, home, from the terrain near the Bering Sea, the frozen twilight of the North.
Gift of life. I do not know your story. I do not know why you registered your organs. I do not know how you died. I'm sorry you had to die so I would live. There is no greater gift than the gift of life, a gift of love among strangers, a gift of compassion, a gift of selflessness, a gift of courage, a gift without which I would not be here. Death is the eternal sleep, the ultimate sacrifice. So I thank you, donor, whomever you are, for the second chance, the chance to redo, the chance to embrace life and all it offers, the chance to change, the chance to befriend, the chance to bring friends closer, the chance to write, the chance to express myself openly, the chance to pay it forward, give of myself where I can. I am eternally grateful for your generosity. I owe my life to you.